Hey there guys, it's Anthony here at Cutting Edge Guitar, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you 5 tips for better guitar soloing. Let's get right into it. Okay guys, just quick before I get into this, I just want to ask if you are enjoying the video, please do like it, give it a share to anyone who you think that this might help, and also subscribe to the channel because that massively helps me out and it will make sure that you see more of these lessons as and when they come out. Okay, let's get right into 5 tips for better guitar soloing. So first things first, what I'm going to say to you is, if you want to play really good guitar solos but you don't know your way around the fretboard, you're going to really struggle. So let's say I'm just soloing in standard A minor rock territory. I'm just playing over those chords, A, G and D, that sort of thing. I might want to be using something like the A Dorian mode. It might even be a case of I could be soloing over things like A, G, F. You know, them sorts of things. That would tell me, just by looking at the chords, that I need to be using the A natural minor scale. So how I know that? That's a basic bit of music theory. So effectively what I'm talking about there, I've analysed the chords, and then looking at the chords will tell me what is the applicable scale that I need to use. So with that stuff, not only do you need to know your way around the fretboard, but you also need to know a little bit of theory, so it will tell you what scales it is that you need to use so that you know where you're going to go on the fretboard. Effectively, if you're soloing away but you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to be able to execute your ideas properly. So whether that's, whether you want to shred, or, if you want to play just melodic, bluesy, bending, whatever it is that you want to play, if you don't know your way around the fretboard, you are really going to struggle. So that is tip 1 for you guys. Tip 2. Perfect your technique. You've got to work on your technique. So whatever your ideas are that you want to execute, if you don't have the physical technical ability to be able to execute them, you're really going to struggle. So in terms of lead guitar techniques, I tend to use 4 different techniques for executing my ideas. These are regarded as the 4 chief areas. There are many more. But the ideas that I would look at are legato playing. So legato playing is when you're using predominantly hammer-ons and pull-offs to execute your ideas. Well, hammer-ons, pull-offs and slides. So stuff that's like... So what I'm doing there, I'm just picking the first note on every string. Then I'm doing hammer, hammer. By that I mean that I'm executing notes with the fretting hand. And then I'm also, on the way back down, you'd use something called a pull-off. So pick, pull-off, pull-off, pick, pull-off, pull-off. So that's your legato technique. Also, I would make sure that you've got a really good handle on your picking styles. Whether that's alternate picking or economy picking, either or, it doesn't matter, as long as you've got a good facility for your picking styles. So with your alternate picking, what that means is when you're playing through lines, concepts, what you're going to do is use downstroke followed by upstroke and keep that strict. So right there I'm using strict alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. If I was to be using economy picking, what you're doing with economy picking is you're going to keep your plectrum moving in the direction of your string changes. So therefore, if I was playing that same 3 notes per string passage, I'd be going down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down. On the reverse, if I was to be ascending, I'd be doing down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. So that's the difference between economy and alternate picking. I would also make sure that you were pretty good at sweep picking, which is a really useful way of executing arpeggios. Again, with sweep picking, a bit like your economy picking, your pick is always moving in the direction of your string changes. But this comes really into its own when you are using or when you're trying to play arpeggios. So if I was playing an A minor arpeggio, what I'm going to do there is I'm going to play down up on my top string, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use all upward strokes to play the following string changes. If I was then to come up and a G major arpeggio ascending, what I'm going to then do is I'm going to use all down strokes. And then again, you know, if I was to flip-flop that between different ascending and descending arpeggios, every time I'm descending I use upstrokes, and ascending I use downstrokes. Okay, so that takes care of fretboard knowledge, technique. Developing musicality, point number 3. So developing musicality, that's going to come from listening to your favourite guitar players, okay? Really, really important that when you're trying to develop a lead guitar style, that you actually have an end game in mind of what you want to sound like or who you want to sound like. So listen to your favourite players, transcribe their licks, and I would definitely recommend that what you do is you listen to their ideas and try and figure them out. That's transcribing, rather than just getting tabs all the time. If you can't figure it out by ear, by all means get a tab. Tabs are really useful, but that's something, if you just try and figure it out by ear, when you're improvising, you'll have things that you can say on the instrument. So that's point number 3. Point number 4. On top of learning other people's lines, I would say develop your own vocabulary. So the thing with developing your own vocabulary is wherever you are on the neck in different scales and all of that sort of thing, what you want to do is you want to come up with your own things that you can say. So let's say I was talking about playing over, and this is like in a rock context, but this will work in a blues context or anything like that. A, G, D. So that's giving me, like, as I said, that's my A Dorian thing. If I'm playing through A Dorian, I would perhaps, if we're just thinking of our fretboard in terms of the cage system, I would see my minor pentatonic in 5 positions. So there's the 5 positions of the minor pentatonic, and what I would then do to that minor pentatonic scale is add additional intervals that give me the sound of the modal flavour I want. So in this case, A Dorian. So you can hear those extra twiddly bits, those extra Thin Lizzy sounding notes, or they might remind you of Santana, or they might even remind you of Joe Satriani. Whoever it is, I mean, all of these top players will all use something like the Dorian mode. So what you would want to do is have some vocabulary based on where you are on the fretboard. So let's say if it's a classic rock lick would be something like this. They're licks that I would imagine almost any guitarist that is watching this video has probably learned before. So a basic rock guitar and blues guitar cliche. So what I would do is develop a series of lines around that I could then play. Something like... Now, the thing is with that might be a line that you've practiced and you've spent some time working on, but what happens is you want to during your improvisation, you want that to come out organically, and you want to develop that connection between your ear with your transcribing and then also creating your own lines, so that you can just make these things up on the fly. So as you're jamming over tracks or jamming with people, if you're playing out live and everything, all of this stuff will come out organically, and then that's it. That's where you go. So the final tip, my 5th tip for today, is work on your string bending and vibrato. So many guitar players I see, if they're working on different techniques, what they will do is they will spend ages and ages and ages working on things like their legato. Or they might spend ages working on alternate picking, you know, sweep picking, whatever it is that they want to do. They spend ages working on these techniques. But the one technique that they don't work on is the bit at the end, which is usually going to be your string bending. Because once you've played your line, let's say if it was what I've just done there, just a very Paul Gilbert-y kind of. That's my exit point. But if I exit that with terrible sounding, horrible vibrato, it doesn't matter how good the lick is that's come before, it sounds disgusting. So what you need to do with your vibrato and your string bending is make sure that every single finger you've worked on all of the different permutations that you can do for your string bending and vibrato. So for example, the note I'm playing here, I'm playing a D on my G string. I use tone-wide rock vibrato because that's what I think sounds good to my ear. So what I've done is I've worked on that vibrato on every finger so I can get the same sound with my first finger, second finger, third, fourth. So it doesn't matter what finger my lick or line exits on, I've got the skill to be able to add that vibrato to taste to my ear. There's going to be somebody out there who'll probably go, I don't like the sound of that vibrato. Well, fine, that's up to you. I literally couldn't care less. I worked on the vibrato that I want to have for my playing. And that's one of the things that you should also do with your string bending, your vibrato, is work on that sound that works for you, because the string bending vibrato elements is something that sounds so individual to a particular player. You take someone like Eric Clapton and Yngwie Malmsteen. They both have a very unique vibrato. Some people like Clapton's, some people like Malmsteen's. It doesn't really matter other than, you know, what that individual likes and how they want to hear things. But make sure you work on it so that it sounds good and pleasing to you. Okay guys, that's it for my 5 tips for this particular lesson. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on this video at the members area at Cutting Edge Guitar. The links are in the description, where I will just add a little bit more content for my members just to show them more of how I would put this all together into the melting pot of a solo. If you want to see that part of the video, there's a free trial below in the link in the description. If you're just going to carry on with me on YouTube, please do like the video, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care. Cheers.